My name is Aman Dhillon, founder of ReelN Limited, and I'd like to welcome the audiences we have listening to us today. I'd like to also welcome award-winning documentary filmmaker, screenwriter and TEDx speaker, Teenaa Kaur Pasricha. Have I pronounced your name right, Teenaa? Is that okay?
Yeah, hi Amandeep. Yeah, it's Teenaa Kaur Pasricha. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Firstly, congratulations on your debut independent documentary film. And it's titled 1984, When the Sun Didn't Rise. I believe it's won a number of awards. And before we kind of go on to the questions, I just wanted if you could tell us the awards and kind of when you received those as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, everybody. Sat Shri Akal, good evening. I'm very glad that the film is screening today and you are all able to watch it. So yeah, the film has won a national award in Best Investigative Film category, Best Producer, Best Director, 2 awards. So I'm very, very grateful for all the forces in the universe that, help us achieve this. And I always say that this award is not for me, it is for the film and it belongs to all of us. It belongs to humanity because the stories are of various people who have endured so much and they fought for justice and they're still seeking closure. So I think for me, the importance of National Film Award given by the President of India is the fact that it brings a kind of closure to this particular subject, though there can never be any closure to massacres and there can never be any closure to such painful memories. But just the recognition of it also means a lot, at least in 29 years, like other than all the battles that we fought, we've been able to, get this recognition, which I think is very good for the entire community. And I wish had this massacre in 1984 got any kind of justice, so many other massacres that happened in India, in Godhra with Muslims would have not happened. In Bombay, the riots would have not taken place had there was a punishment to any kind of a massacre like this. So yeah. The film has been screened in some 22 universities in UK in 2017 before it got the national award. Thanks to all the people who came together in taking interest in screening the film and the subject and the emotion with which it was made. It has been screened from Oxford to Westminster to LSE, London School of Economics, and then later on in University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada, in US, Guelph, Toronto, a lot of places, and I'm very, very grateful that there is no political affiliation with the film till now, and that's how we want to continue. And it only stands for truth, justice, and compassion. No animosity, no revenge, but compassion for each other and for humanity. So yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Teenaa. So your film, as you mentioned, it does raise lots of very difficult kind of topics, the aftermath of Operation Blue Star in Punjab in India. So this particular subject, do you yourself have a personal connection to it, or these women, the stories that you tell, are they from personal experiences? Were you personally affected by this?
See, I grew up in a small town of Ajmer, Rajasthan, and honestly, we did not face any problems in Ajmer. It was a very safe place. But I remember that my mother was very, very upset with this massacre, and she used to tell us about this massacre. And because also the fact that my Mama Ji, my uncle, who was traveling in Patni in Madhya Pradesh, he was affected. He was pulled out of the train, his hair were cut, and he just escaped and he saved his life. So it was very difficult for him. He did not meet any one of us till the time his hair grew back, because in Sikh, the identity of a man with hair is so much, so important and relevant that it was difficult for him to come to terms with it. So having grown up in Rajasthan, going to St. Mary's Convent, we did not have any idea of what exactly happened in '84 in Delhi and in the rest of India. But then that was exactly the question which I was seeking the answer for when I came to Bombay. And I was alone, and I used to wonder that, if life can be so difficult for me. This was back in 2008. And then I was like, if I'm educated, but then life is difficult for me. So what happened to the women who survived the massacre like 25 years back, 9 years back, and where are they, and how do they look at the memories, how do they negotiate the memories? Because I had also undergone a divorce, and I was trying to find some solace, I was trying to find purpose of life. And that also helped me uh, I researched, and I wanted to understand who am I, who am I as a person, what is my life purpose, what am I doing, and why should I make these documentary films that I'm making, and what is it my life purpose calls me for. So in that research, I read about 84. I read books written by Manoj Mitta and H.S. Fulkaji, and many other books that I read, and I was completely depressed and shattered when I got to know that there's no justice in this particular regard. And that made me think that I need to come up with a documentary which can be a proof of evidence, yeah, which can be, screened anywhere in the world, and which stands for humanity and how bad massacres can be if people become obsessed with religion, and they become obsessed with any particular person or ideology or a political identity, how maddening they can be, a crowd can be, so I wanted this to be documented, the Sikh massacre, and I thought that probably this is the only thing that I can do in my capacity as a filmmaker. So it almost became like a mission for me when I started in 2011. And then by the time I ended, when I started, it was my second film, but by the time I ended, it was my fifth film, because I did some other films also in between on environment conservation. So it had a long journey because it was research based. The massacre happened in 1984. I started in 2011, ended it in 2016. So, and then I also didn't want to make it a propaganda film. I was very, very clear about it. I am a Sikh. I'm making a film about Sikh massacre, but then I want to have a very neutral stand so that, no one can label it and, say that the film is not balanced. So I wanted to show all the aspects of a good film, any film, whether it's a feature film or a non-fiction film. It shows you all aspects of one particular event, and that is the reason that I also interviewed the perpetrators, the political people in this. Jagdish Taitler, who has been accused of the massacre, and of course he was there at the massacre. So it was very important for me to make a film which was of international standards, and it really took time, but I think I was very, very blessed that, that journey taught me so much. It enriched my life so much. A few little things, like Busan International Film Festival, South Korea, after looking at the pitch and meeting me in person in a lab in Delhi, they gave me a small grant for post-production, and of course there was a organization that supported the production and also supported the people who were featured in the film and otherwise living in the particular colony where the massacre happened, and where people are really poor, and we tried to uplift them by giving employment opportunities. So all that took place even before the film started,
Wow.
because that was, yeah.
Yeah, it just shows that huge journey and years of collating all that information. And it quite rightly, you mentioned, about massacres, and I think it's quite interesting because you see a lot of reporting on subjects in the news, and you'll hear so much internationally about something when it takes place, but we don't often know what happened, what is the aftermath, 10 years, 20 years down the line. And for you to kind of pick this up and kind of look into lives of people, and how are they kind of impacted and suffering today, and you've already said about how much research went into this, and I think you have to be quite passionate as an independent filmmaker, as a female filmmaker, to kind of see it through to completion. So just talking about kind of the research, I mean, one of the questions when I was watching the film, I was really interested to know, because you show, statements from judiciary, from police. How difficult was it to gain, this evidence? Were people quite happy to share things? Were there, was there a bit of a hesitance? Were they hesitant to kind of share information with you?
So, Amandeep, largely the sentiment of Delhi, when I was making the film, I was trying to talk to so many people, was of amnesia. Okay. Delhi as a city, as a collective, has forgotten 84. And I feel it's very sad, because you need to remember it so that it doesn't happen again. That is my only point, and that was my point earlier, and even that is my stand today. It should not happen to Sikhs, it should not happen to Muslims, any minority, anywhere in the world, it should not happen to anyone. So it's very important to remember, like how the Holocaust happened in Berlin, in Germany, and they are still commemorating it today. Germany has been sorry about what they did with the Nazis. So all this has been, collectively as a community, they have been sorry about it. They've asked for forgiveness. But here in India, I feel bad that the entire nation. I mean, it takes one person, like me, to make this film and remind people that this is what happened. Why can't our consciousness, ask for forgiveness? Why can't we all stand and say, we are sorry as a city, we are sorry as a nation for what we did? Especially because there is a Sikh regiment in the country. There are farmers in Punjab who are feeding the entire nation. How can we just be, sidelined saying that we are a minority and it doesn't matter what happened with us? So that's where I feel that, we need to commemorate 84. Just as a coming from a place of compassion, coming from a place of forgiveness, coming from a place of humanity, not like anything bad about it, but we just need to be sorry because there's no justice. So which means there are perpetrators, the people who killed are still scot-free. They are all over Delhi, maybe they are all over India, wherever they are scot-free, which gives a very wrong signal, to people, because then they can just murder anyone and get away with it. So I really feel that it's very important to commemorate this particular event as a day of non-violence, as a day of compassion, and we being bigger than everyone else and saying, we forgive you. We forgive you, we have the capacity to forgive you and move on. But we remember what happened, but we are choosing to forgive you.
And I think you can already see in the film, without kind of giving away too much, obviously this is an introduction before the film, so without giving away too much, but we already see in the film where there's people that are a bit kind of like shying away from the camera or to open up and speak, and we see that there's somebody shouting in the background like, don't tell that lady anything because it's on camera, and so we already see that people are quite hesitant to talk and raise awareness and to really openly discuss what happened and actually openly say it was wrong. So it's really commendable that you've made this film and you've managed to kind of get the content that in order to put this documentary together, because I'm sure it wasn't easy to do that and to get people to open up and to talk. So you've already mentioned this slightly. The film doesn't really delve too deep into making a political statement or religion. I think you kind of show sequences of events, as kind of this is what happened, more of a kind of a statement of fact in a way. Did you kind of make a conscious decision to make it kind of so that it was really prominent with the stories of these women, as opposed to making a political or religious statement? And was there a lot of editing involved? I'm sure you probably had lots of footage, but was it quite difficult to kind of put it together for the final product to tell the right message?
Okay, Amandeep, so I'll take your last question first. You said there was a lot of editing involved. Yes, there was a lot of material. Also because, like going to a colony where there are so many houses and hundreds of people, and they are ready to talk and open up, and, they're just there. And like sometimes in the beginning, I did not open the camera. I opened my camera only later on. But, I realized that they want to talk about it because, they found someone in me like a dedicated listener, which I did not know that I'm taking up that job. Because
Yeah.
so that differentiation between a girl going in search of truth and a filmmaker to a dedicated listener. So I think all this, everything was kept aside, and my role as a committed listener, without listening, without any judgments, came to the forefront. And I opened up my heart and my journey as well, because they asked me a lot of questions. And once that happened, that bond was established, they also opened up about their lives and their wounds, which were so deep. And I did not know how to process it, because I was completely inequipped to process it when I was alone, because I used to really feel very, very sad, depressed after listening to their stories, because I didn't know how to, like, how can such a thing happen. It was, even today when I remember it, it is very depressing.
Yeah.
How to process these emotions which are so difficult, the memories which have no closure. So it was very difficult emotionally. And also, when you sit on an editing table and you're looking at the rushes again, it takes a lot of energy to listen to it again and again and again. So yeah, I mean, thankfully my team was well, and I had good editors on board, who made me realize that, okay, we are going to keep this and we're not going to keep this. Because after a while I had lost perspective. It was very difficult for me to edit this footage. So there was a time, there was one editor who left in between. I was not happy with the rushes, the cut that was made, and we had differences. Then it was very difficult. I learned editing. I started editing. We reached a point. There was, like, the film was not moving, and thankfully there was a work in progress lab that happened in Delhi, known as Doc Walk, which was affiliated with Doc Leipzig, Germany. So they invited the film. The film was selected there, and I went to Delhi. And then I got one British editor, Ollie Huddleston, who's located in UK. He was very, very kind. He's a very renowned editor, and he came and looked at the footage and spoke to me. And then thankfully things started turning around from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then back, and then me and Suvir, my editor, we were editing, and we kept going back and forth with Ollie and his notes. And that's how the film happened. And I was very, very grateful for the film happening. It taking a lot of time to edit, but thankfully, because there was history, there was present, there was what is happening in the cases now. There was so many perspectives and angles to it, that putting it together in 1 hour looked impossible. I mean, till date, I think it is the most difficult film that I've edited, or
Yeah.
I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
so
so much
grateful that
information.
happened.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to what you said, emotionally, you're so invested and draining. I mean, even for me, I think what I couldn't get my head around is when family, friends of families were actually, actually targeting people they knew in the riots. I found that really difficult. When you hear stories of, it's your neighbour or your friend, and they're targeting you and being violent towards you, where you've known these people your whole life and should be in a position you can trust and go to. I found that really difficult. So when you're hearing things firsthand, and you're kind of right there in that moment, it must have been so draining for you, but also at the same time very rewarding to tell the story. So again, well done for kind of getting to a stage where you were able to tell the story in the way that you wanted to tell it. And again, I think you have covered this already, but one of my questions I wanted to ask was, do you feel that these incidents are being forgotten as time goes on? And what can we do to help ensure that, that Operation Blue Star is something talked about, we ensure that this film raises awareness? What can we do that, it's not forgotten, and how can we contribute as an audience internationally?
I think, like I covered a little bit of this question earlier, but I think coming back to this, I think all of us wherever we are in the world, we need to spread compassion. As Dalai Lama has rightly put, that now the world does not need righteousness, because we all feel that we are right. We are the ones who are right, more right than the other person, and we are superior to the other people. That's how our thought process works. But he said that we don't need righteousness. We don't need the burden of righteousness. What we all need is compassion, forgiveness. We need compassion for each other, acceptance of each other, however different we may be, how different our identity we may be from each other, but that's what we need. So that means that we need to commemorate, June 1 to 4, the days of Operation Blue Star, or 31st October to 3rd of November, the days when the Sikh massacre took place, by doing something nice, something good, just by, holding placards near the station, near the tube station, or by serving tea to people, or just by, holding a hug day, just hugging people. And if someone asks that, okay, why are you, giving us flowers, or why are you hugging, or why are you giving us tea, then you tell that, we are commemorating what happened with our community. This is just to remember the people who have lost their lives. So many innocent people lost their lives, and this is a way that we are commemorating who have gone. And it also commemorates anyone, irrespective of any religion. We are just commemorating humanity. So it's very, very important to reach out wherever we are and never forget it, so that it doesn't happen again. They say that, we need to learn lessons from history. So I think it's put that, we should never forget our history, because if we forget our history, it happens again. And this happened again. It may not have happened with Sikhs, but it happened with Muslims in Gujarat. It happened in Bombay riots in Mumbai. So it's very important that we commemorate. We never forget our history. And I think one question that you asked was that how difficult it was to get evidences from the police, judiciary, and stuff. It was very difficult, Amandeep, because like as I said, that 29 years had already passed when I started doing the film. No one wants to remember unpleasant memories. For them, they have moved on. They have seeked some kind of closure in some part of their brain. They've moved on, which is kind of difficult to tell them the importance of remembering few things and also commemorating it in a way, because that is their contribution to this particular event that happened. So it was never a cakewalk. It was never easy, because when I did the screening in India Habitat Center, I remember I received calls from CBI in India, and they said you are doing a film which can cause riots. I was like, most welcome to come for the screening, because the film is completely neutral. It is not biased, against any one political party or any community or religion. So they came for the screening. I did not know who these people are till the time I saw Fulka ji interacting with them, and then I got to know that they are people from CBI. So my name is listed in CBI.
Oh, wow.
So it was like very, because we come from a family, we've never seen a police station. So it was kind of also very,
it's quite daunting.
So wherever I had screening in Delhi, I saw police coming in. They interacted with me. I was like, "You're most welcome. Please watch the film."
And what was their? How did they feel afterwards? Did you get feedback from them? Like how?
No,
what did?
I'll tell you what. The police and the CBI, they always used to be dressed as a civilian. So I never knew from a group of 300, 500 people who are the police and who are from CBI. But I definitely know that they called me, So I was like, I should be afraid. I'm coming to Delhi. I'm a single woman. And they used to say, oh, we are threatened by your film. I was like, what is there to be threatened about? So so it was kind of interesting that how this journey unfolded. And towards the end, when I reached India, I thought that, maybe, I'll be punished, or I don't know what will happen to me now, because I spoke about justice everywhere and the justice not being there. And I got to know that I have breast cancer. And after that, I got to know that I have the film has won a national award in Best Investigative Film category. So both the two things were again very jolting and like life coming topsy-turvy again, you know.
Yeah.
So
Lots of emotions, you know. It was a difficult time in your life, but you at the same time had a reward and an award for, you know, for what had been quite a long journey with the film. So it's really commendable. I mean, it's fantastic to, you know, you're very inspirational. I think, you know, with your breast cancer journey, you're a breast cancer survivor, and you're very passionate about the projects that you're involved with, whether it's environment or social causes. And, you know, I'm really excited to see what's next for you, and you know, and I hope that UK audiences will have the pleasure of seeing more of your work and to be educated. I think, you know, to raise awareness, to be educated, and to understand really more what's happening, whether it's around the world or specifically in India. So thank you so much, Teenaa, for that. Obviously, we have a lot of Punjabis in the audience as well. So if you do want to say anything in Punjabi to your audiences, or just to give a brief sum up of what we've talked about, please do as well.
Okay. ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫਿਲਮ ਦੇਖੀ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਪਾਰਟਿਕੂਲਰ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਏ ਥੀਏਟਰ 'ਚ ਤੇ ਮੇਰਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਹੀ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਫਿਲਮ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਨਾਲ ਬਣੀ ਹੈ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਦੁੱਖ ਦਰਦ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਫਿਲਮ ਬਣੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਦ ਵੀ ਜੂਨ ਆਏ 1 to 4 ਜੂਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਬਲੂ ਸਟਾਰ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ 31 ਅਕਤੂਬਰ ਤੋਂ 3 ਨਵੰਬਰ ਤੱਕ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਆਓ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰੋ ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਔਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੈਮਰੀਜ਼ 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਛਬੀਲ ਵੰਡੀਏ ਅਗਰ ਦੁਪਹਿਰ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹ ਵੰਡੀਏ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਛੋਟੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ ਦੇਈਏ ਔਰ ਕਮੈਮੋਰੇਟ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਯੂ نو ਇਸ ਪਾਰਟਿਕੂਲਰ ਇਵੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਹਿਊਮੈਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਪੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਔਰ ਆਪਸੀ ਸਾਂਝੇਦਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈਏ ਇਸ ਮੈਮਰੀ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਿਆਈਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਹਿਊਮੈਨਿਟੀ ਕੰਪੈਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਆਪਸੀ ਪਿਆਰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਔਰ ਫੋਰਗਿਵਨੈਸ ਯੂ نو क्षमा ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਇਸ ਪਾਰਟਿਕੂਲਰ ਇਵੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈਏ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ and thank you very much ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਨੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਇੰਨੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਲਮ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਔਰ ਅਮਨਦੀਪ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਈਮੇਲ ਆਈਡੀ ਲਓ ਔਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਟੱਚ 'ਚ ਰਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਔਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਫਿਲਮ ਦੀ ਸਕਰੀਨਿੰਗ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ
Thank you, Teenaa. Teenaa, do you want to actually give us your social media handles, or you know, if you have a website, social media handles, and particularly for, I just want to say as well, if there's any UK press that are watching the film, if there's anyone that you know, OTT platform, anywhere that the film can be showcased so it reaches a wider audience and we raise awareness. If they want to get in touch with you, where can they do that?
Right. So should I email you the social media handles? Would that be fine?
Yeah, I can share those at the end, or if you want to say them, you're welcome to say if you've got a website or email ID, you can share that now as well.
Acha, okay. So my email ID is simple, my name, which is teenaakaur@gmail.com. The spelling is TEENAAKAUR. TEENAAKAUR@gmail.com, and my social media handle, the Insta handle is @Teenaa Pasricha, TEENAA Pasricha, PASRICHA, and you can find me on Facebook by the same name, Teenaa Kaur Pasricha, TEENAAKAUR Pasricha. So
thank you. Thanks, Teenaa. And if anyone wants to contact us at ReelN, the website address is ReelN.co.uk, and you'll see all of our social media handles there as well, and YouTube channel. We will actually upload this video on our YouTube channel as well, and if anyone wants to get through to me or Teenaa, you're welcome to do that via the ReelN website. But yeah, thank you so much, and thank you, Teenaa, for joining us today for this very special introduction, and I hope the audiences will enjoy the film and help us kind of raise awareness for it as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you very much.